He made a beeline for the couch, his gaze trained on his son.
Cove?
Cove, God, are you alright? Strands of his hair had fallen out of his ponytail. His eyes were darkened like he'd been crying, too. I would be doing the exact same. I would be a mess. Cove stared up at his dad, his own eyes wide behind the frames of his glasses. He really hadn't expected it to be such a big deal. Well, that's the thing, unfortunately. Kids don't realize how big of a deal running away from home really is. And hopefully he knows now. I'm hoping he learns that now. It's a, tough lesson to learn. But at least he's able to be given the opportunity to learn it. This could have ended a totally different way in which he would not have gotten that opportunity. I'm okay. Good, that's good. I'm so glad to hear that. He clasped a hand on his son's shoulder, attempting a smile, but the corners of his lips twitched and spasmed as if they wanted to wilt into a frown instead. Cove seemed to have that effect on him. Mr. Holden turned to you, still grinning weakly, then looked at your moms. Thanks for your help, as always. He laughed pitifully.
I'm sorry.
And I'm very sorry for ruining your afternoon with this. I can't apologize enough.
It's okay.
It was no trouble, Cliff. Really, it couldn't be helped in a way. Something was bound to happen sometime. We're just happy we could help, and that Cove's safe and sound. Not for the first time that day, you recalled your original meeting with Cove. He had run away then too, only not as far as he had today. Cove must have had a similar thought because he mumbled an apology. Sorry, Dad, I won't leave anymore. Promise. Thank you. Boy. You do that again, boy. Some life seemed to return to Mr. Holden thanks to his promise. This time around, his smile was more genuine.
I'm so glad.
That's a relief to hear. Next time you feel like running off, come to me first, okay? We can talk about it. I'm here for you. Cove nodded. His dad reached out and mussed his hair playfully. Is that a word? Mussed his hair, or is it messed? Messed his hair? Mussed his hair? Playfully, although he made a face. Cove didn't try to dodge the hand as he usually did. Let's go home, bud. I bet you're as tired as I am. Mr. Holden took over carrying Cove's backpack, still clasping a free hand on his son's shoulder, when he stood up from the couch. The five of you walked over to the front door, so you could see them off. Mr. Holden thanked your moms profusely at least 3 more times before he walked out the door. Cove was made to follow. But he stopped and turned to you before stepping through the threshold.
Thanks.
Thanks, Fawn. For what? Your mom said you were the one who told her where to get me. It was good that I went back. A tiny smile flitted across his lips, there and then gone. I'm glad you're okay. You waved him off. You hugged him. I'll hug him. You hugged him. Before he was gone, you reached over to give him a hug goodbye after a hard day. Is this going to be an awkward hug? Probably. He held you back more tightly than you could have anticipated. Oh, and you almost squeaked out a noise. Oh, did you notice that? The way that he reacted to my hug is different from the last time. I'm wondering if the order that you do these scenes, if you hug him, only once by this point, I'm wondering if his reaction is different than if this was the second time that you've hugged him, which is what's happening now. That would be really cool and interesting if that was the case. I'm glad you're here. His embrace was tight but brief. Wow, he returned the hug, and then some. He let go as soon as he said what he wanted to. And with that, Cove left. Mommy closed the door behind him. You were left feeling overwhelmed. Your fatigue must have been obvious because your mom sent you off for a nap with no more discussion on what happened that day. Once your head hit the pillow, your eyes slipped closed on their own. After the nap, everything else was a blur. You were settled into bed for real later that night in what felt like just a couple of moments. You woke up much more at ease than you had felt when you were last conscious. It was almost like it was a dream, but it definitely wasn't. Your mom's faces when you saw them assured that. After breakfast, you were sat down, and your family went over yesterday's events in full. They were pleased that you came to them the moment you had an idea where Cove disappeared off to. I'm really glad. This is really realistic. Again, this is great parenting. Something like this happens, you talk to your kids. You sit them down, especially something as serious as running away. You, talk to your kids and be like, hey, you know what? This is what happened. And, I just wanted to let you know that if you ever feel trapped, or you ever feel angry, or you ever feel like you really want to, run away, like, you tell them how serious it is to do that without considering talking to us first, talking to your parents first, and you just kind of be like, look, the reality is this could happen, and this could happen, and this could happen, and we're not saying this to scare you, we're just telling you that these things happen when kids run away, and it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. So, I like that they're doing this in this moment. As a reward, your mom's promised to take you and Lizzie out for a treat later. It was more than welcome change from the worry you'd been dealing with. Mr. Holden talked to Cove about what happened too. You didn't know what was said exactly, but Mr. Holden forgave Cove immediately. He didn't do anything to punish Cove for running away. He blamed no one but himself for Cove's desire to leave home. That's really mature of him, I think. I feel like, I don't know, I'm torn. I feel like if my kid ran away, yeah, I guess I wouldn't punish him, but I definitely would talk to him or her a lot about it. And that could be the punishment, I guess, is you're going to have to listen, and I'm going to listen, and you're going to listen, and then I'm going to listen, and it's going to be an open conversation, and yeah. You caught your mom discussing it once in hushed tones, frowning at each other. It was pretty serious. There was a word used you hadn't heard before. Self-flagellation. I actually don't know what that means. But there wasn't anything they could do to change Mr. Holden's mind. Your neighbors stopped you and Cove often for the next week or so to express their concerns and disapproval of the event. Still, as they always did, days continued to pass. So did talk about Cove running away. Things eventually turned to normal, as they had to. Summer kept going, and you've kept having experiences you shared with Cove. It's really interesting. I'm wondering, because you can choose to skip that, then does that mean that he never actually runs away? By not actually playing Runaway, does he never run away? And so how would that affect you, like, later in the game, if you didn't play the runaway moment? I am very curious about that. I'd like to believe that this is going to affect something in the future at some point, the fact that he did run away, so I'm really curious about that. All right, so this is the big moment, I think, because we have exhausted all of the moments, including the DLCs, and now I think by clicking on and then Summer Ended, I think we actually will jump into the older stage. I think we might go to step 2, maybe, but we'll see. I think that's what's going to happen. Or maybe there's going to be a little bit more of a storyline. Maybe there's going to be like a post story before we move on to step 2. We'll see what happens. And then Summer Ended. Move to the next step. Are you sure? Yeah. I've done everything, and we're gonna see. Let's see if we can recognize moments that reference to or might have been affected by everything that we did during these moments. That'll be really fun to keep an eye out for. I'm really excited to see. They told us that, I think I read that some things, the effects are more noticeable in step 3 than they are in step 2, but we might still see them. Are you sure? Yes. I'll never get tired of that view. You stood beside your moms, Lizzie and Cove, as the 5 of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. You like to imagine it cooling off in the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow. That was a fun day. I didn't know they had magicians on the shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh yeah, Alexander the Amazing or something like that. Oh no, we are so dull. Let's get out more. He didn't do real magic, Mom. How did you figure that one out?
Duh.
'Cause I know that's not what real magic looks like. Oh, Lizzie dear, there's all kinds of magic in the world. Lizzie gave Mommy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. You looked over at Cove, who hadn't said a word since you started home. He didn't look upset, though, just content. You were aware he still hadn't quite warmed up to your parents. Well, we can't sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan. Mom, summer's almost over. The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. Please, can we play just a little longer? We have to keep playing before it's too late. It is almost over. You put on your best puppy dog eyes. Lizzie may not want to, but you planned on going home. Yeah, I kind of done. I'm ready to go home. We have to keep playing before it's too late. It's almost over. Put on your best puppy dog eyes. Yeah, I'm done. Let's go home and play some video games. I'm tired of all this beach. I want to get back in front of the TV, play video games, or watch movies. Lizzie may not want to, but you planned on going home. Mom looked down at Lizzie with a sigh as she continued pleading. We'll help with dinner tomorrow. Please. Soon we'll have homework and reading to do. We can't do work now, too. Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot in the ground. Well... No. Oh, come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Okay, so Pam is the mom's name. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew that Lizzie was very close to victory.
Okay.
All right. But as soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside, understood? Yes, Mom. Cove, dear, you're welcome to join us as well. You grinned at Cove and nudged his arm with your elbow. Cove gave a non-committal shrug to your mommy, which you took as an agreement. So much to do, so little time. Maybe I could still get the seashell bracelets at Tines and trinkets. Ooh, or maybe the playground, or the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? Don't I get a say in this? You silently made your own plans. We can't get too far. I'm going home. I'm going home. Can I just silently make my own plans? Lizzie had her own ideas of what she wanted to do, but what were you going to do? You glanced over to Cove, considering. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself.
Rude.
Doesn't the wind know that summer's not over yet? Rude! That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading off in the direction your mothers had gone. Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots to plan if I want to make the most of tomorrow. You thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she was disappearing off down the road. Meanwhile, Cove was going in the opposite direction, heading for the beach. You followed Lizzie. I'm gonna follow Cove. Or I'm gonna stay with Cove. Cove gave you a smile that you couldn't help but return. Cool. He made a little gesture that you interpreted as follow me and then started heading to the waves. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back, then tossed it out into the water. You were impressed over how far he got it to go. It sailed way out into the sea. It was a good toss. That was pretty neat. It wasn't a long throw, but he didn't care to try for that. The rock sunk kind of like a rock and fell back down almost right after he tossed it. I'm gonna say I was impressed over how far he got it to go. It sailed way out into the sea. You can't skip rocks in the ocean. What are you doing? You looked for your own rock. I'm gonna look for my own rock. Deciding to join Cove, you searched nearby for any rocks or shells that you could throw too. You found a shell that would suit your purpose, a smile growing as you tossed it as hard as you could. It landed with a wet-sounding thunk a few feet away and slipped down into the water. Yeah, that's definitely me. When you looked over at Cove, he didn't seem to notice that his throw had been more impressive. Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His brows were furrowed, and there was a frown on his face.
It's not fair.
I had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. When do you get it off? How'd you get... Ooh. What do I want to know more? I'm going to find out eventually when he gets it off. Eventually. but I'm not guaranteed. I'm going to be guaranteed to know when he gets it off, but I'm not going to be guaranteed to know how he got it. So I'm going to ask, how'd you get it? I was jet skiing. Really? That's not fair. Cool. Your eyes widened. Cool. You beamed at him. You had never gone jet skiing, but you'd seen others do it all the time from the shore. It looked impressive. Cove looked a little taken aback by your outburst, but after a second he gave a small nod. He then continued to explain. I crashed. He gestured to his arm as if to say, and this was the result. It's hard to believe you're allowed to jet ski. Well, I'm not. Oh. Cove let out a huff. I feel like really was my gut reaction. Really was my gut reaction. I don't know if I would have said cool right away. I think really would have popped into my head. I should just go with my gut reaction more. Cove narrowed his eyes a little. Yeah, why would I lie? I didn't mean it like that. He then continued to explain. I crashed. He gestured to his arm as if to say, and this was the result. It's hard to believe you're allowed to jet ski. Well, I'm not. Okay, that's why I said really? Because I was like, really? It's sort of like me saying really when Lizzie, like, played golf. But, oh. Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand. I can't believe summer's almost over. You sat down next to him and nodded in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change. I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I'm at least relieved, going back to the cast, I'm at least relieved it seems to have nothing to do with the mother. So that's good, because I think the game could have gone there if they wanted to. I think it'll be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad said something about that. Cool, you're gonna like it. Everyone's super nice. You'd only ever been to the one school, but you were sure that his old school couldn't have been that much better. Then again, he didn't have to make new friends and meet new teachers. It could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, you realized that his eyes were wet.
I want to go home.
Oh, don't run away, though. You learn not to run away, though. You'd never had to move before, but you thought you could understand. If you had to go to a new school all of a sudden, with all new people, you'd probably be dreading it too. Yeah, I guess I was fortunate. I was sort of fortunate in that I never had to go to... never had to be like the new kid at a new school. Because I mean, obviously I went to a new school as I went from like elementary school to middle school to high school to college. I mean, yeah, but I never had to like be the new kid in the middle of said schools, if that makes sense. So I'm sure I would have hated it too. Like, I would have been really bummed if I had to like leave my friends. Even though you sort of maybe understood, you still weren't sure how to help. Okay, I'll see you later. So I'm just gonna abandon the poor child. Cove gave his head a small shake. No, I want to go back home. Right, Cove wanted to go back to his old home. The one that sat waiting someplace far from here. The one he would bring up whenever he felt this sad. The one that he tried to run away to. It had been a while since he had moved in, but he didn't seem to feel any better about being here. It would have been nice if they referenced the fact that he tried to run away here. Like, that should have been a great place to reference it, if they aren't about to do it. You settled back down to the sand, trying to consider what to do. Do you hate it here? This can be your home. It'll be alright. Do you hate it here? Cove's brow furrowed even more. Then he shook his head. You felt a rush of relief fill you. You like having Cole here. It would be sad if he'd been miserable the whole time. You're not going to leave, right? You'll still be around? I don't think I have a choice, kiddo. The question was a little surprising. I have no reason to say I don't know. I have no reason to believe we're moving anytime soon, so I'm gonna say of course. Your parents would have mentioned if you were going to move or something, right? After a second, Cove gave a little nod. Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming. I can't swim. Sorry, dude. I know you love your dolphins, you love your mermaids, but I'm not swimming. Sorry, man. You were fine with him changing the subject again. Yeah, that would be fun. Wish I knew how to swim. Game, you shouldn't assume that I know how to swim. Cove smiled and looked back to the waves. My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually, that I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything. Well, did you try? I feel like you need to try a little bit more, maybe. You spared a glance over at Cove and see the anger had slipped off his face in favor of something almost puzzled. But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can't see it. You could remember a long time ago when you'd first started going to school. You had absolutely not been okay with the idea of being away from your parents for most of the day, to listen to strangers tell you what to do and sit with kids you'd never met before. Things changing is hard. You held his hand. I canned. I'll make sure you do. I'll take his hand. You're not quite sure what to say to that, so instead you reach out and take hold of Cove's hand. The one closest to you is the one in his cast, so you made sure you were very gentle. As you watched, Cove's eyes got a little misty once more. You got the feeling that they were different tears than the ones from before, though. I hope next summer I'll surf and go exploring and everything will feel like it's supposed to again. I hope so, too. It'd be really awful if he still had his cast. That'd be very unfortunate if he still had his cast by then. You will. It will. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the waves. You hoped that Cove would be able to accept this place as his new home. You definitely try to help in what ways you could. There were so many wonderful things here Cove probably hadn't even seen yet. Lost in thought, you started a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting your name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Time had really gone by fast. You stood and dusted the sand off of yourself. My mom's calling. It's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked up at you, expression screaming reluctance. Yet ultimately, okay. When you smiled, Cove returned with one of his own.
What?
Thanks.
Thanks.
It was nice, where you were right then. But the two of you couldn't stay in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So, the both of you ran off towards your house, leaving the waves and summer behind. Oh, so this is it. In between. Okay. This is in between the steps? Oh. Okay. So, my features are pretty much the same. So, pointed, tan, round, to brown. Maybe I can give myself some hair back. My hair isn't really I don't like my hair being long, so I may not put anything back, but we'll see. Short, round, sleek, strands. I mean, we could do strands, but I really like none. I like my hair really, really short. So, yeah, that's what it's gonna be. I can change my voice names right now, apparently. But I'm gonna keep it at Vaughn. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm changing anything. Birthmarks, scars, rosy cheeks, freckles, acne. Oh, acne. Oh, interesting. Scars, birthmarks. So I did have, as an adolescent, I did have glasses. So I probably should do that. Half oval too. Yeah, I think mine's were... They were like half oval. Yeah, those were my glasses when I was a kid, when I was an adolescent. So that's the one thing that changed. And then braces. I had braces. Yeah, I had braces as an adolescent. Freckles, arms, legs, torso, scars, birthmarks, clothing type, still pants and shirts. Watches. I mean, I didn't actually wear hats, so So I'll take off hats, because I didn't really wear hats as a adolescent that much. Watches, but I wore a watch. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. Done. Relaxed fondness. Okay. So now relaxed crush. Relaxed fondness. I'm gonna say relaxed crush. Not quite a direct crush. I'm gonna say a relaxed crush. My feelings for Cove are relaxed crush. Okay. Okay. And then, or should I say, should I do direct crush and then relaxed love next? I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily have a direct crush until we were older, we're teenagers. So I'll do relaxed crush. Relaxed crush. That's probably more as an adolescent, because I think I was still shy and definitely was crazy nervous about my sexuality, like super nervous. So I wouldn't call it like direct. It might have been a nervous crush, but I'm gonna say relaxed, close to direct. So yeah, interest. Okay, I'm ready. Begin step 2 at a relaxed crush. Yes. Ooh, interesting. All right, now things are gonna start looking really interesting. Oh, wow. Okay. So we can so this is technically what Cove looks like based on your choices. I'm not really sure, how the game determined that, but oh, interesting. I'm not sure what choices calls this, but I'm just gonna design him the way I want. Yeah, I like guys, as I said, with shorter hair. So between the two, yeah, this is longer, but I mean, there is more. This one's shaggier, but I think I like the style better. I like the style better than this one. So I'm gonna go with this one. And then shirt. Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, I like that shirt. I think I like that shirt, but I mean, I think shirt 1 is fine. I like shirt 1 just fine. Pants. I'm gonna do, I think I like, with that shirt, I think I like the dark pants. I don't really like that bracelet around on him. Let's have that instead. I like that more. And then necklace, I'm not a fan of beads. I'm not a fan of beads on him. So I'm just gonna change that just because. And then PJs, I kind of like this one more. Yeah, and jacket, I don't like the purple and pink against his green hair. To me, it just, I'm not a fan. So I'm gonna do the black. Yeah, because if I change the pants, does it change? Yeah, so apparently the pants, because yeah, that does not look right. So I'm gonna stick with the dark pants. They're a little bit more neutral. So that appearance looks good. Cove creator. PJs. I mean, you might say that it's cheating that I'm tweaking his appearance, but like the game said, you play the way that you want to play. And this is the way I want to play. I want my Cove to look like a certain way. So, if my character's supposed to be crushing on him, then I would like for him to look a certain way if my character's supposed to be crushing on him right now. So,